Hello. Every time I sit down at this chair, I have to readjust this screen. Back several years ago, I had the most interesting experience of losing my middle finger on my right hand. And I had been a cabinet maker, a carpenter, since I was in my early 20s, a stonemason, so on. And when I would tell people, I'd been doing cabinet making for 40 odd years, and they would look at my hands because quite often hands get in the wrong place and it's not a good thing. And oh, gee, I spent 40 odd years really trying to be careful beyond measure because I somewhat liked my fingers, and I didn't want to lose them. But anyways, on a job over in Rocky Mountain House, I did chance to have my hand crushed, and I mean really crushed, and every finger broken at least once or twice, and oh gee, it really wrecked my day, and so on. And so anyways, I ended up finally going back to work in a few weeks, couple of weeks or something, and they sent me, the company I was working with, well, they let me do security work over Christmas, and which was interesting because with a wounded hand, I kind of took a little backup with me, so my sawed-off shotgun, and a young man came in at about 11 midnight something, and this is a large construction company, huge, wonderful people. And a young man, he came in the back door, and I was in the coffee room because I had my back to the wall, and I was pretty comfortable with the idea I could handle whatever came along. Of course, I've always been that way, whether it was true or not. And the young man said, Uncle Jim, don't shoot me, Uncle Jim. And because my nephew worked at that company and he called me Uncle Jim, so apparently everybody did. I didn't know that. I didn't even know I was called Cowboy Jim until the wonderful lady told me. And he came in and sat down across from me, and he kept saying, Uncle Jim, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. And then he sat down, and all he talked about was committing suicide. And I thought, son, you don't really want to commit suicide. We had such a good talk, and I don't know, it could be my gray hair, but people just spill their hearts, and he and I, we had a good talk. I hope he's still alive. I tell you, if I could spend my life, I always wondered about being a chaplain, and WCB, when I was really injured, they said, what would you like to do? I said, I'd like to be a chaplain in a hospital where perhaps I might occasion to encourage someone to look again at the Lord before they passed, and usually that's a pretty easy sell. And they said, there's no way. You would never make enough money as a chaplain. And I thought, you haven't even heard me talk. But perhaps they had. And they said, well, given your familiarity with handguns and shooting and stuff like that, we could possibly get you a job with Brinks. In fact, they would really like to have you come work with them. I said, I need activity. I don't want to be bored. I need some excitement, some adrenaline. I said, listen, you get them to promise me one bank robbery every 6 months. I can do it. They said, Jim, it's not going to work. I said, listen, well, then send me to heavy equipment school. Oh, we'll never do that. Never do. $24,000. That's what it took probably a month for me to talk them into doing that. I went and had fun. But anyways, I ended up somewhat, shall we say, short a finger. And it didn't really adversely affect my sense of humor. But anyways, they sent me up to Battle Lake, and I was going to do that high-intensity job of being wounded, be a flag a person. Man. I'm certainly a man. But nonetheless, they kind of accord a flag person. And as I was there, and I had the privilege and the honor of talking to a couple of hillbillies, that was very disconcerting. And Battle Lake something. And I went to work and all that stuff. And about 4 or 5 days into my whatever it was going to be, boy, I'll tell you, we worked until it rained, and that was after Christmas, so it wasn't apt to rain. And so we were there for the duration, and I managed to get infection in my the stump of my finger. And when I say I got infection, children, it didn't look good before the infection. It was all red and bloody, and the Band-Aid kept coming off. But when it got infection, there was no more red left. It just make you feel sick. And so I suggested to the boss, I said, listen, I can stand here all day, or I could run over to the hospital in Wetaskiwin and get them to take a peek at it. So I went in there, and the surgeon, he looked at it real good, and he said, we're booking you in right now. We're going to have you on intravenous, and you're going to we'll jam you full of antibiotics. He said, son, you're going to lose your hand. And I am kindly affectionate toward my hand. It was one that I had used all my life, and moreover, it was my dominant hand. And I was a tiny bit disconcerted about that. I said, well, listen, I do believe that if you're going to put me on intravenous, you're going to have to do something that is called insert a needle into my hand. It's not like inserting a needle to draw blood out of one's elbow, which seems to be bereft of nerve endings. I know mine is because my funny bone from under the elbow, they actually moved that right up into the middle of my elbow. One of the many surgeries I've had. I said, son, I'm not getting a needle. He said, you're going to get a needle or you're losing your hand. I said, listen, I am just going to go back and hook onto my 93 18-foot long trailer. It was not much more than shelter. And I'm telling you, I said, I'm heading south. And he said, you'll lose your hand. And I said, I don't think I will. And I prayed. Hey, I always do that. When I'm getting ready to do something stupid, trust me, I pray. And so I mean, my crew, they didn't offer to help me hook my trailer up. I don't know how they figured I was going to hook my trailer up with an appendage that was yellow instead of healthy looking red. But anyways, I did, and I headed south. And I got home, I don't know what time I got home to the ranch, and I'm looking at, I took the Band-Aid off, I'm looking at my hand, and oh, it was so infected. And it wasn't getting big or anything, but if you were hungry and someone put a creme brulee down in front of you, or my death by chocolate, or any of the other things that I make, you couldn't have eaten it because the hand looked so bad. And I thought, oh, geez, I'm going to go into the hospital tomorrow, and they're going to just do something. And it's not going to be nice. And I said, God, I don't want to lose my hand. Jeez. It's just contrary. It's just wrong. Your sense of humor, well, it can repair. You don't grow hands back nor fingers, evidently, and you don't, because it's stupid even to think along that line. And I thought, well, I made supper, and I lived in a horse barn. I mean, I'm an authority on marriage. I should have been a marriage counselor. Most every marriage counselor I've ever had never had been married anyway, so they were still pretty happy, but nonetheless. Hey, I thought, very serious. I thought I should soak it in something. I didn't know what. And then I thought, well, shoot, I have to do the dishes anyway. So I took a Dawn and I filled the sink up with pretty hot water and a lot of Dawn, and I'm looking at the Band-Aid, and I thought, okay, do I get a plastic bag? And I thought, forget that. I'm just going to do the blessed dishes and be done with it. So I gave an extra couple of shots at Dawn. I like the blue stuff. It's probably all the same. Food coloring's probably the only difference, but nonetheless. I was pretty careful. I didn't want to bump that finger or the end of it, the bone. It's sick. Not good, children. Not good. I hope you're not watching this near supper. It was not good. I did my dishes, and I just took and put that bandage finger. I just reached in there and kind of squinted a little, and I just did the stupid dishes. I had a dishwasher in my horse barn. I kind of enjoyed doing dishes. Thus I did. Next morning, I'd phone the specialist. He's the guy that cut my finger off, and oh dear Lord God in heaven, if you ever have that done, ask them to put you out. I mean, they won't want to because you have to have an anesthesiologist and all that stuff, but they use a very large set of nail clippers, and they expose the bone, and they keep snipping off the end of the bone until they get to where it looks like there's going to be enough bone that it may knit together, and then they fold stuff back over, and it's very discouraging. And so the next morning I got up, and I knew I had to go to the specialist, and I don't do pain pills like normal people do. I just don't. I like to be cognitive of my surroundings. I like to know that I'm not going to injure anyone on the highway because I took T3s and perks. I used those once. Not a good thing, children. Morphine, on the other hand, whoa, that stuff's good. And the next morning I got up and I thought, I don't want to look at my finger. I don't want to see if there are lines already headed to my shoulder from that finger. It was so badly infected, and yet it didn't seem to hurt. And I thought, well, maybe it's beyond hurt. Maybe the infection is so great. And I thought, suck it up, princess. I had left the same wet Band-Aids on, soaked with Dawn all night. And you don't put that in under the blankets. And my horse barn, though, it was a wonderful apartment. The fireplace was the only thing that kept it warm, and Fox News kept me entertained. And I took that Band-Aid off my hand, and I looked at a finger. Not one vestige of infection. There's a P word. Won't use that. Not one indication that my finger had ever had anything other than a perfect time of healing. I mean, I bet if I'd stayed in that Wetaskiwin hospital and went on intravenous and all that sort of crap, I'd probably have lost my hand, if not my arm. The infection was so bad. But that detergent, Dawn, and okay, I prayed. And yes, God is real. But I'm telling you, I have prayed for a lot of things, and it was like he said, "Excuse me, who are you?" Not funny. But my hand was so repaired. I went to the specialist because I'm not stupid. I'm determined. And he said, "Well, what's wrong with that?" I said, "Yesterday, it was covered in yellow, dripping yellow." And I said, "It was not good." He said, "It looks pretty good now." I said, "Yeah, I did my dishes with Dawn." He looked at me. He said, "You put that in the sink?" I said, "Yes, sir, I did." And I said, "Sir, I don't think I have any infection left in that finger." And he said, "Actually, it looks just about perfect." And it did. So listen, children, light banter, not a serious subject. If you ever have infection that looks like it's going to take some appendage off your body, do the dishes. Oh, come on. If it's a foot injury, okay, then don't do the dishes. Just soak your foot in really, really hot, way beyond warm, and Dawn dish detergent. It will really work. Listen, I just wanted to do this. We've had a couple of tough subjects lately. I might throw a couple of recipes your way. I just have a heart for the broken-hearted. I've had mine broken a few times. I probably could count them quite easily and on one hand. That's not bad, children. God bless you. I hope you have a good Christmas. I hope you are with those whom you love. I just wish you the very best. God bless you. God bless you.